This is Halo 2 for the Xbox. I'm only reviewing the campaign of this game. I played a bit of the campaign for the first Halo game, and I wasn't really blown away with it. Perhaps if I played it in 2001, my views of it would be different, but I played it 15 years later. As a result, I didn't have high expectations for Halo 2 other than that being a better game. Like in the first Halo, you start off fighting your way on a ship. You go from one section of the ship to the other, fighting waves and waves of enemies. Sometimes you have friends to fight with, and they do help. You then land on a planet which I believe is Earth, and you're in the middle of a deserted city, which is actually really deserted because there's enemies there. This of course was different from the first Halo game where you're dropped down to some grassland planet. This is a pretty solid looking game for the Xbox, particularly the part where you're crossing a bridge and you see a city in the distance. I think this part would have been impressive at the time. I'm not sure if the cutscenes are rendered, but if they are, they look great for this period. However, I think they lowered the FPS to increase visual fidelity, as it doesn't feel as smooth as it should be. The gameplay is your typical FPS. Go towards a section, fight the waves of enemies there. Go on to the next section, fight the enemies in that section, rinse and repeat. This is something that I find very boring and repetitive. However, in the latter part of my gameplay, I ended up playing in a tank and also in a speeder. This was probably the most fun I've had in this game thus far, because you're continuously moving forward towards something and you don't have to wait around at certain parts. Speaking of tanks, was this part of the game design? I think this game has a love or hate relationship. I neither loved it or hated it, but I think it is overall a better game than its predecessor. So I've given this game a 7 out of 10 for the single player.